Bang! Neeves Knives, I'm Jared, and today we're checking out 3 Bob Terzuola designs, 2 of which just dropped. This is the Protech ATCF Bob Terzuola design automatic, just dropped, Blade HQ exclusive. I actually did already do a video on these, but I had to take it down because I was not allowed to drop it yet. So that was completely my fault, but it did just drop and is available right now if you guys want to check one out. It's amazing. It's absolutely awesome. This is the most powerful automatic I've ever felt, hands down, no comparison. It's not even close. This thing is still shocking every time I open it. Like, just watch this. This thing has so much recoil. This thing, you have to warn somebody when you hand them something like this. This is one of those knives that goes into a video of knives you don't hand people. At least you don't hand it to them without warning, because this thing would absolutely fly out of someone's hand. It feels like, I don't even know, like a 380. It's so powerful. S45 VN, love a good spear point blade. I know this is more of a drop point because the tip is higher than the center of the pivot, and the spine and the edge don't exactly do the same exact thing, but it kind of reminds me of like a bayonet style blade shape. Now, this one has the aluminum handles and is made in the USA. Love the ergonomics. It's just amazing in the hand. The pocket clips, super smooth in and out of the pocket. Protech always does a good job with their clips. Flat screws inset. My goodness, is that swing. It almost makes me feel like it's gonna break the stopping, but hey, it locks up every time. Rock solid like a damn bank vault every single time. So I love that. Very, very reliable automatic. Now, I've not sharpened this one up yet. I have sharpened this one up. We're going to talk about the Magnacut steel from Fox Knives, which is an Italian company. So this is the Fox ATCF Bob Terzuola design in Magnacut steel. Now, Protech, this is S45, but Protech, their Magnacut, they run 63 to 64 HRC. I have tested it quite a bit. They do a great job with it, or at least up to date, they do a good job with it. Now, I can't speak to when they first started using it. So if you have some early model they did, I can't speak about that. But as far as after they got used to it, they're doing a great job with it. Now, with the Italian-made companies, we tend to know them as doing usually softer heat treats on steels. Now, I do not know how much say-so Bob had in the HRC or anything like that with this steel, with Fox Knives. I have no idea. But I will say that they say they're doing it 62 to 64 HRC, which I'm actually happy to see. That would be right in the range of which I say is good. I like to see it 63, 64, but 62 to 64, perfectly happy with that. Especially for a knife that's supposed to be a tactical knife, because if you guys don't know Bob Terzuola, he is the godfather of the tactical knives. I beg you to go and watch his story. He has an amazing, amazing story, and him and his wife are awesome people. I've never met them yet, but I've watched lots of videos of them. I've been watching Bob for years. I mean, so, you know, granted, I don't know him, but you almost feel like you do. And he's friends with a lot of my friends in the community. So shout out to Mike Emler. He did a video with Bob Terzuola. It was great. Go and watch that. Read about his story at the very least, because he has an amazing story in this community, and he's an icon, an absolute icon and a legend in this community. So I've always been fascinated with his knife designs. One, they speak to me too. I love the look of something like this, with this blade shape the way it is, almost like I said, almost like a bayonet style blade shape, maybe not quite, but still. And then the handle, very neutral handle. This is black micarta, steel liner lock, ceramic bearings, and detent. We'll talk about the action, then we'll talk about sharpening up this Magnacut. So the action, the detent, I would say is on the lighter side, but it works really well. So I don't think I'd tune it any stronger. And if I did, it would be very little. And just so you know, liner lock knives like this are very easy to tune the detents. I have videos on it. Go watch them. I thought about doing a video on this one because this one's pretty light, and I'm probably going to do it to this one. But this one is a very reliable, that was my fault while I do that. This one has a very reliable flipper. I mean, it is very, very snappy, whether you do the light switch or the push button. Then the discs, man, Terzuola has nailed the disc. Most companies do not know how to do discs well. It's like they always just place them in the wrong spot. They don't put enough texture. Bob Terzola's has plenty of texture. Sorry for my hands, guys. It's been a hell of a day. Beautiful texture around it that definitely adds, that knurling adds to the grip. So it basically grips you back. The disc just works great in this case. And the liner access, great access. Love that he puts good access to the liner. I always encourage that. And my goodness, look at that drop. Very, very smooth. The clip, standard titanium spring pot clip, love to see that. And I believe this is titanium hardware. And if you look, it has a single side liner lock, so you do not have a liner on this side. It's just the micarta. Now, the steel, before we get into this one, you know what, actually, we'll bring this one up really quick because it's going to have something to do with this. So this is the Bob Terzuola design Mariner 2. He had a custom Mariner. I believe there's only like 30 of them made or 60 of them or something like that. And Mike from Tactile Knives got one from a, I forget, from a thrift store or something like that. Some sort of place where you wouldn't expect them to have a custom Bob Terzuola. So he wound up having it for a very long time. I guess this was like 25 years ago when he found it. But this has a titanium handle, Magnacut steel liner lock. We'll talk more about that in a second. And then I have the superconductor thumb disc. There is multiple different thumb discs. I got this one, this one, a Mochatai one, and then the regular titanium one. Now, Magnacut steel. And by the way, this thing is very smooth. Yes, it has a light detent. I have done a video on this and talked all about it. Yes, it has a light detent, but my goodness, is it fidgety. I'm going to tune it a little stronger, but again, I don't care. I don't care because it's so easy to do. Like, it really is. Once you've done it once or twice, you wind up realizing like it's not even a big deal. But this one, I want to talk about this one. The Magnacut steel. So I wanted to sharpen it up. So I used ATOMA diamond plates, right? ATOMA diamond plates. By the way, we do have ATOMA diamond plates on the Neve Knife Co site. So if you are interested in getting any ATOMAs, the replacement sheets or the plates, we have the best prices on them. Check out Neve Knife Co, link down in the description. So started with the 140, reprofiled it. Okay, reprofiled it. It felt pretty good on the stone. I did notice a little bit of a misgrind, but, you know, as I was going through, you know, reprofiling, it was a little bit of a struggle to hit all the way to the back of the bevel right here. There were times where, you know, I had to, well, not times, during the 140, I had to work on it a bit longer than I typically would. So I basically had to do both sides 3 times in order to get all the way back to the back of the bevel. Now, it wasn't that big of a deal. I didn't take that long or anything like that, so it wasn't a big deal, but it just was what it was. And then I did notice a little bit of a grind difference from one side to the other. But that to be honest, that's typical from Italian companies. Italian companies, they, you know, they do a really good job, but they do have little things here and there, right? And one being the HRC on their steels. But in this case, the steel felt good. The steel felt good on the stone. Sharpened up really good, went through all my stones, went from the 140 to the 400 grit, 400 grit to the 600 grit, and then on the 600 grit, I did have to spend a little bit more time on one side as I was trying to even up one side of the bevel to the other. The problem was I couldn't put too much effort because like this side of the bevel, if you look, is just slightly, this side is slightly larger right here to here, then right here to here. But from here to here, it's even. So I didn't want to spend too much time because typically you take the smaller side, work longer on that, and it'll even it up. No big deal. But if it's half and half, then you're gonna have to pick which one you'd rather be a little off. And it's so little, like it not even a big deal. And this is common, by the way, guys. It really doesn't even have nothing to do with Italian companies or anything. It's a common thing you see on knives. So not a big deal, but you do see it quite a bit on Italian knives. So, but anyways, sharpened up really good. After I got done with the 1200 grit ATOMA, so I went all the way up to 1200 grit, took a nasty sharp edge. I deburred on, what did I deburr on? I deburred on the KDTU 10,000 grit hybrid bonded diamond stone or hybrid bonded CBN, one of the two. Great stones. USA Market, link down in the description. They make some great bonded diamond and bonded CBN stones. So I deburred on that. Why did I deburr on that stone? Well, I prefer to remove my burr on much finer grit stones. So if I sharpen up to 600 grit, 1200 grit, or 2000 grit, I want to deburr on a 3000 or not. Whether it's a 3,000, 5,000, or 10,000, or 15,000, I want to deburr on something like that. I'm very gentle when I do it, so the stone, the importance of it is just that it's hard and it's delicate to the edge. That's basically the point. So 3,000 grit and up is pretty delicate on an edge. So, and it came off super fast, which tells me that the heat treatment's probably okay. It's probably decent. Typically, and I've sharpened up some bad Magnacut, and you know, like any steel that's on the softer side, the burr is going to be the issue. You're going to struggle to remove the burr, and in many cases you're going to have micro tear out, stuff like that, because the steel is trying to hang on to the steel on your bevel or on your apex. This one snapped right off nice and clean, felt like wet glass afterwards, was very happy with it. Now, I don't know what the HRC is. It didn't feel super hard on the stone, but it's also hard to tell on an ATOMA. So, you know, I'm not considering that at all, but the burr came off really nice. So we'll see how the edge holds up over time. You know, I ran the factory edge, you know, for, you know, since I've had it, and it was due. It was definitely ready. It was cutting paper, but not cleanly. So the Magnacut, my big thing by saying this, the Magnacut from Tactile, right? I tested, I think only one test as far as a controlled test of their Magnacut, but it did a good job. It did a phenomenal job because it was, they started doing their HRC 6364. They had moved it up from 6162 to 6364, and they got great results. Very happy to see that. And every one I've sharpened up, they sharpen up so good. I have multiple Tactile knives in Magnacut steel. They all sharpen up really well. They all take a screaming sharp edge just with an insane amount of bite, and they hold it very well. So very happy with the USA Magnacut. Even from Protech, same thing. They're doing a great job with their Magnacut. Now, as far as the Italian stuff, it seems like it was pretty decent, which I do want to say good things about that, because I've been known to say negative things about their steels in the past. So I want to give credit where it's due. And it felt like they did a good job with it. Like I said, if I got an HRC test, you know, I don't know if it actually falls in the 62 to 64. It did, like I said, it didn't feel super hard, but that really doesn't mean anything. But I will say the heat treatment was done at least well, because, man, that burr, when a burr snaps off like that, it's typically, you know, a decent heat treatment. Anyways, not saying always, but typically. So yeah, very happy with it, man. The ergonomics of this thing is just phenomenal. Love the action. This little guy right here, same thing. Love the ergonomics, love the action. Like I said, I'm going to tune the detent a little stronger, but that's not a big deal. Take me 5 minutes, if that. And then this guy, same thing, man. I love the ATCF design. Like I said, this is quite a bit bigger than the Protech, by the way. Look at how much bigger that is. This is a full-size knife, but it is not as big as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be quite a bit bigger. But no, it's just a full-size knife. I wouldn't even call this, like, I guess people call this a large knife, but it is not a big knife by any means. It is a full-size knife. I just have a full 4-finger grip. If you look, like, I don't really have any more room. It's literally a full 4-finger grip perfectly. My finger does kind of land on that peak right there if I do that, but I figure that's for the choke up. And then if I'm back here, I tuck my thumb back there like that. The edges are all knocked down really nice. I like this flat area right here that Bob does, so you can kind of choke up. It always leads to, you know, a nice little spot. Now, as far as negatives go, I do have a similar negative across the board, and that is the sharpening tool and plunge grind. And I always complain about this. Now, let's check this out after sharpening it up, because I was actually surprised. Well, I guess not surprised, because the way the plunge grind is here, you can see how I'm cutting into the plunge right there just slightly. Not a big deal, right? Not a big deal. This is the type of plunge grind you can just sharpen up the blade. So all in all, it's not going to really lead to much of an issue. Yes, the more I sharpen it, the more it will cut into the plunge grind, but I will be able to sharpen up the side of that plunge grind. Now, with this one, it's not the same thing. This one is a tapering plunge grind. So is this one, but this one has a direct line. This one does not. You have a shadow. So this one will get a smile. You can actually see a little smile from the factory. Not a big deal. And there is a stop pin back there, so you want to be careful. If you cut in a little notch, you want to make sure you do it from here forward. Don't mess with it back there. But and then this guy's probably the better one of them, but still same thing. You know, I like to see a separation from the end of the plunge grind to the edge, and I don't see that here. I can see a tapering plunge. Not a big deal though, but you know, it's just something I nitpick about because I sharpen so much. All in all, man, I really don't have many complaints, man. These things are so well done. You know, like I said, this one's detent maybe could be tuned a tiny bit stronger, but it works so well and so reliable that I actually enjoy it the way it is. And, you know I can rapidly deploy it in my hand. The balance is just, look at this balance. Just look at this balance. Watch this. Come on. It's got really good balance. Yeah, I dig it. I dig it a lot. I dig most of Bob Terzola's stuff. So, like I said, everything will be linked down in the description. They'll be in a lot more videos, guys. This is just a taste. Work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.